spooky. It's one of those video game stores. Take a look, Skip. 2009 Razer Naga, hey? Bloody hell. 12 buttons on the side. That's batshit crazy, eh, mate? Legends, what's up? It's Darkmech here, and today we're covering off the two latest and greatest products from Razer, the Razer Naga V2 Pro and the Razer Naga V2 Hyperspeed. And which of these is number one? Which is king of the mountain? Spoiler alert, it's this one right here. So we're going to start off, we're going to talk about product features today. We're going to talk about button bindings and switches. We're going to talk about hyperscroll technology and what the fuck that even means. We're going to talk about connectivity, battery life on these, optical lasers. We're going to talk about the weight of each mouse, measurements. I'm going to throw everything at you in this video so you can make your own decisions. So let's start off and let's talk about the Razer V2 Naga Pro and its features. So it comes with 3 swappable side plates, 19 functional programmable binding buttons, and I'll touch more on this later. Razer Hyperscroll Pro wheel technology. It's got a Focus Pro 30K optical sensor. It has optical Gen 3 Razer mouse switches that are rated up to 90 million clicks. A lot of zeros. Looking at the V2 Hyperspeed, a little lighter on features, but still packing a punch. It's got the single 12 button side plate panel, 19 programmable buttons, Razer Hyperscroll technology. It also has a Focus Pro 30K optical sensor in it. It's got the Gen 2 Razer mechanical mouse switches that are rated up to 60 million clicks, and it's got 2 modes of connectivity, that Razer Hyperspeed wireless again at 2.4 gigahertz and Bluetooth. So straight off the bat here, you can see the V2 Naga Pro has a pretty hefty line of features attached to it. The 3 swappable side plates are pretty huge and turning this mouse into a real versatile gaming weapon. I could use this 12 button side plate here, for example, for MMOs. I could use this 6 button side plate for strategy based games or like D4 when it eventually comes out. Hype. I could use this 2 button side plate for scrolling YouTube analytics and seeing that 81% of you watching my video haven't subscribed to my channel. Now, originally, I was kind of concerned about these swappable plates. No lie, I always thought they'd be a cheap connection to the mouse. Buttons would stop working. It would feel like really disjointed. Really happy to say, they snap into place and it feels like a solid form mouse. It doesn't shake. There's no disjointed feel across it. Regardless of what plate you have on here, it feels like a solid form mouse. That is a huge bonus. The V2 Hyperspeed, on the other hand, just has this single 12 plate. But if you are only buying these for MMO capability, that's probably not a really large consideration you have to make. If you want the versatility though, then that is something to weigh up. Now, both the Razer Naga V2 Pro and the V2 Hyperspeed have 19 functional programmable bindings on them. Left and right scroll tilt is back on the menu for binding, which is fantastic. Now, technically, you could say the V2 has the V2 Pro, has 21 bindings on it if you count left and right click, and there's also a profile button under the mouse, but I don't really think that they're fair to call functional rebinding buttons. Now, one thing that I will give the V2 Hyperspeed though props for is these 2 buttons here off the left click. I'm really happy to see these back in this place. It's a real throwback to the OG Naga. I like the functionality of where these sit compared to the top. However, that's a personal preference thing. In terms of rebinding or refunctioning keys, Razer Synapses takes care of all your bindings and rebinding needs, and it is super simple to use. You click the mouse key that you want to do something with. There's a menu down the side, a function menu. You pick either you want to rebind, you want a macro, you want a multimedia shortcut, you want a DPI, you want a light, whatever you want to change. You click it, you click the button that you want to rebind it to or the function you want to use it from the drop down, and you hit save. It is actually that simple. It's brilliant. The V2 Pro has the Gen 3 Razer optical switches in it, and these function ridiculously quick. There's 0.2 millisecond activation, no debounce delay, and they have a 90 million life click cycle on them, which is crazy. The switches also use infrared for activation, which means there's 0 double clicking. The V2 Hyperspeed, on the other hand, has those Razer Gen 2 mechanical switches. They've got gold-plated contact points on them, which is great. It means the switches are less prone to degrading, so you get a longer lifespan out of them, but you still only get up to 60 million clicks out of these versus 90 million on optical. For me personally, I actually think the Razer Gen 2 mechanical switches feel better. They have a really nice feel to them when you press them. They're soft, they're light on the action. The V2 Pro switches are a little bit firmer in my opinion, and they took me longer to get comfortable with in longer gaming sessions. I mentioned this hyperscroll technology at the start. So the V2 Pro has hyperscroll Pro wheel technology, which is just a fancy way of saying there's lots you can do to the scroll wheel. There's 5 modes and a custom mode. So there's standard, distinct, ultra fine, adaptive, smooth scroll, and custom. And you would probably read the box and possibly be like me at the start and think, why on earth do I give a shit about all this you can do with the scroll wheel? It's actually pretty cool when you get into it. Things like adaptive scrolling is the faster you scroll on the scroll wheel, the less resistance you get where it just free spins. Standard and distinct though are just where I sit, but the mouse feels fantastic to scroll on. The V2 Hyperspeed has 2 modes of scroll, free spin and tactile. Now free spin has no tactile feedback, so you spin like Tony Hawk, and tactile mode gives you the tactile bumps as you scroll. However, it doesn't feel as nice to scroll on as the V2 Pro, and I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's true. Both feature the latest in wireless technology for connectivity. They're ultra responsive, low latency, they've got adaptive frequency monitoring in them. One of my main concerns when I switched over to a wireless mouse was, would it lag? You know, I'm old, I don't need any disadvantages when I'm gaming. Stoked to say they don't miss a beat, and I couldn't actually go back to being a peasant corded gamer anymore. The V2 Pro has the option to connect a SpeedFlex Type-C cable into it, which you'll use to charge the mouse if you were too poor to afford the charging dock, and you can still play on it whilst it's charging, which is great. The V2 Pro, you'll see up to 150 hours of battery life on hyperspeed. Now, I haven't tested this thing out and let it run for 150 hours. I'm not going to lie to you there. When I stream, I usually stream for like, say, 8 to 12 hours in a gaming session, and I'll be on around 90% battery life when I'm done. So it's very, very impressive from that. That's whilst it's on hyperspeed wireless mode, and I've got the APM and airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow, so you know I'm going hard. The V2 Hyperspeed, on the other hand, is powered by a single AA battery. It has no wired option either. You can get up to 250 hours game time on this. It's also Bluetooth enabled, along with the hyperspeed wireless mode. It's the first battery-powered line in the Nagas. I have no complaints about its lifespan in terms of how long the battery lasts for. I've been using it for over 2 months now and I haven't changed the battery. It's just the fact that it is a battery. The V2 Pro and the V2 Hyperspeed both have that Razer Focus Pro 30K optical sensor on them. The new sensor provides flawless tracking on multiple surfaces, which includes glass, which is great. It's got intelligent functions on it like smart tracking, asymmetric cutoff, and motion sync. Asymmetric cutoff, if you're wondering, this allows for finer tuning of when you want to stop tracking when you lift your mouse up off the surface and when you want it to start tracking when you put your mouse down again. Smart tracking means the mouse automatically calibrates itself across different surfaces, which is great. And both of these mouses come, or mouse, I don't know, they come with a 2-year warranty. So final thoughts around these. You know, as always, my reviews are honest. I'm not contacted by Razer. They send me the stuff and I get to say whatever the fuck I like, basically. So no cop out here. The Naga V2 Pro is just a better mouse by a fair stretch, in my opinion. It's also more expensive though. So it retails at $179.99 compared to the Hyperspeed, which retails at $99.99. The V2 Pro has more features. It feels like a better built mouse. The Gen 3 optical switches will last longer than the Gen 2s, despite me preferring the feel of the Gen 2s. The scroll wheel customization on the V2 Pro is better, and personally, I much prefer a mouse with a little bit more weight in its ass. The V2 Hyperspeed is exactly what you would expect for something that says Hyperspeed on it. It's really, really light. The RGB lighting on the logo on the V2 Pro as well, and the side panel is just a massive win. I think that really degrades on the V2 Hyperspeed in not having that. The fact that Razer didn't elect to make the V2 Hyperspeed a rechargeable mouse, I think is a massive drop as well. You know, the dock is a rad accessory to have if you can get one. It is really cool. You never have to worry about batteries, and I know batteries aren't a huge issue. They come in fucking packs of 20 and stuff. But if you're ever out of batteries, then you are absolutely up shit creek and you have no wired option. The V2 Hyperspeed, in saying all that, is not a bad option if you want a lower price ranged option. Still get a fantastic mouse. It's just that the V2 Pro is better. So that is it. A big thanks to Razer for sending us the goods to check out. If you have any questions, hit us up in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you all next time. See you, fam.
Legends, if you really want to help me out and support the channel, please consider pledging to our Patreon. Tier 3 and above will see you getting your name at the end of every single video we create, as well as some hidden perks in the Discord.